The Nerdcast Empire is on the air. We are back with another Anime Thursdays on the Nerdcast Empire. I'm Matt in the studio. Great to have you along with us. We've got some more anime news. Maybe we'll mostly escape OhioCon news this week for the first time in a while, but we do have some other local anime news that we'll get to, and we'll talk about some other things around the anime world. Then we're going to get to in the second half of the program, at least for those of you who are on Twitch or catch the Twitch VOD, we will get to more of our favorite anime theme songs. If you're on YouTube, if you're on the podcast network, you need to come over to Twitch and check it out because those platforms don't like it when you play licensed anime music, so we will not be putting that over there. So that'll be coming up in the second half of the program. Joining me, as always, in the studio, it's Mike. Mike, how's it going?
Oh, it's going all right. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. There's not a whole lot to talk about on the OhioCon front, but really we're not that far from the convention or when it's supposed to happen. So maybe they should really shoot for trying to have things to talk about.
And there was a little bit of news in the fact they finally uploaded the videos that we watched, the Zoom videos. They still haven't figured out why the first video cut off because they have a free version of Zoom. And of course, there's a time limit on that when you have that many people in there. And they couldn't figure out the second one because they didn't hit record until there was like 6 minutes left, which may have cut out a lot of the newsworthy things that we reported on. So yeah, it's a group that definitely is a little tech unsavvy, which is kind of stunning for people that are presumably younger than us that don't even know how to use basic video streaming platforms. It doesn't give you a lot of confidence that they're going to be able to handle the rest of it, but we'll see. It's we're going to find out soon. They're talking about doing more Q&As. Obviously, they have finally put forth a hotel block, which I guess is a little bit of news. It's near the University of Dayton, not remotely walkable, which we knew that was going to be the case. They're promising a shuttle service. It's not encouraging, to say the least, but
it was also kind of funny that we did have the Wright State newspaper issuing an article about it, and that they immediately had to take down upon realizing that they had a few of the more important details, maybe not so accurate.
Probably a good time to remind everybody, if you go to a Horizon League school and you want to actually get into journalism, you want to go to Northern Kentucky and not Wright State. And that's
ouch. Shots fired.
Yeah, throw that out there. But at least they did take it down because it was very inaccurate. So hopefully,
and really on the single most important point of contention with everything that's going on, and that's really that Melissa still owns the convention, which they've been pretty upfront about on the Zoom call. They made no uncertain terms about it. She still owns it. We're just making the decisions. Whether you want to believe that or not doesn't really matter. But
that's at least what their statement is.
We know she owns it, and unfortunately the article didn't quite have that correct. And still waiting to see when that pops back up with the up-to-date information.
And again, I give the journalists a little bit of grief just because they're from Wright State. But the thing I want to know, like you said, and then we'll get to some of our other news items, is was she just told that information and they were intentionally being incorrect about it? Or was just an assumption made because they have new assistant con chair, and just kind of put one and one together and got three?
Yeah, and that was kind of the point I made originally off the air, was that to anyone who's not really been entrenched in the situation, if you hear that the con has a new chairperson, you just kind of equate that to, that's the person who owns and runs the convention. Right. You don't really think about it. At least I wouldn't, as just a regular con goer. I wouldn't think about, there's some other person behind the scenes that's really the person in charge. It wouldn't even register.
And again, not to beat a dead horse, but the only reason that really matters in this case is because, as they stated also, this is still a for-profit convention.
Yes.
So you're giving money to a convention that is owned by a person that people were trying or hoping would not be a part of that convention. So again, it'd be interesting to see how it all shakes out. I think we're going to probably generally have some sort of update every week. And even though I didn't put it in the rundown, we actually did have a little bit of an update today. So, like you said, this week, everything they've done with the hotels and everything. And again, the hotel's not 100% their fault because we told you the story a couple weeks ago about the hotel attached to the convention center shut down, and they're trying to get it back up and running. So in the future, Dayton Convention Center might be a great place for an anime convention. It's just not there at the moment. But at the same time, for content, I am, tempted to want to go up and stay a night and experience a shuttle service and see how that's going to work, because And there's certainly concerns for people that cosplay and all, trying to figure all that out. But
yeah,
again, we'll stay on top of the news. There will probably be more, almost has to be, because next week when we sit down to do this show, whenever that happens to be, probably a good time to check the old calendar for that. It is, and yeah, we will be able to be here. And Chris is here joining us in the chat. Welcome, Chris. We will be able to be here on Halloween Eve, if you will, Halloween night, with another episode of Anime Thursdays. When we sit down next week, that's the last day of October. So we're on to November. So we're November, December, January. So we'll see. Some news are going to have to continue to come out because we're just running out of time. Let's get some more brighter anime news from local anime conventions. And the news comes out this week, again, that we're going to get another anime day at the Mall of Fairfield Commons. And very clearly, this is a partnership between Izakaya, which we need to get back up to very soon, and SakaiCon, the convention that is the spinoff, if you will, the second spinoff of OhioCon. And it's going to be on November the 9th, and it's going to be an all-day thing, and like it was before, and it sounds like it's going to be another kind of a mini-con, basically like a one-day convention at the Mall of Fairfield Commons. And I'll kind of let you get into some of the details, but again, it sounds like if you're an anime fan, you live in the Miami Valley, sounds like it'd be a great time to head on over there.
Yeah, I did attend the first one, and for what it was certainly cool. It was kind of their first public event of any sort, kind of saying, hey, we have this thing that we're going to be doing. Really cool anytime you can partner with local businesses, and they've definitely built some relationships between themselves and Izakaya, and even just that area, because that mall in and of itself has such a, I want to say weird because it's just so unorthodox, like the amount of anime and anime adjacent businesses that operate there. It's really a cool thing. But kind of going into this event, one thing that is going to be different is they're advertising a pop-up anime market, which sounds like kind of a dealer room inside the mall. They're taking applications for vendors and artists. Kind of curious how that's going to shake out. I imagine I wasn't really investigating the mall the last time I went there, but I like any mall in this country, there's probably any number of empty storefronts that they might be able to use to facilitate that. But that could be really cool. It's going to be cosplay program again, which I assume is going to be in a competition. Deals with some of the local businesses, and like I mentioned, this mall has quite a few of them. Stores like Nani, Original 155, Miniso, Round One Bowling and Arcade. The combination FYE Suncoast Motion Picture Company. Yes, they have a Suncoast at the Mall of Fairfield Commons. So yeah, it's. I get the feeling it's going to be another big event, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really good time. And the one thing that is weird about the Mall of Fairfield Commons is the fact that it is in existence, and the fact that there are so many active stores. While there are empty stores as well for people to potentially use, there are a lot of full stores as well.
It's a healthier mall than what I'm used to seeing.
Yeah, as I just drove by the old Tri-County Mall today, it just makes you sad, really, that it's just, although I know they're getting ready to do some sort of big project over there to kind of turn it around. I know Eastgate Mall's in the same situation where they're looking to, once they work out some things with Kroger, I think they're going to be kind of renovating that as well. But
I'm telling you, man, a giant pickleball club.
He makes so much money. As much as I hate that, like the 100% would be a big money maker. But Mall of Fairfield Commons doing really well. The area around is doing really well. And so, I think, if you didn't go up last year when they had it, it's definitely worth your time. Again, not a coincidence. It seems that this gets announced while we're still trying to figure out what's going on with OhioCon. And of course, OhioCon's coming to Dayton, not the same part of Dayton. Mall of Fairfield Commons is in Fairborn, while the Dayton convention is in Dayton. It's going to be literally downtown. So not exactly the same place, but adjacent enough that you can't help but just kind of compare and contrast. And again, this is a convention in SakaiCon that has built a local community, even in the Dayton area. Even though that's not where their convention is going to be, they've got a pretty healthy relationship there, and that gives you hope that that's going to be a con that's going to continue to want to reach out and do these types of days around the area, when it's separate from what their convention's going to be.
To see the crowd at the first one, there's no doubt that this is lucrative for the different mall stores that operate along that same theme. I just think this could be a way to eventually expand that kind of market to other malls that certainly need foot traffic and need excitement around them. I mean, if Eastgate could ever house something like this, it would be phenomenal.
Yeah, well, I think we've talked before, if Eastgate could bring in a store like Izakaya, that just an anime themed.
There are reasons to go to Eastgate.
Yeah.
I mean, Jungle Gyms is there. It does huge business.
Yeah.
There are people are in that area.
Yeah, it would, would make a lot of sense, but we'll have to see. But for now, check out Anime Day coming up in a couple of weeks, November the 9th. The mall at Fairfield Commons should be a great time if you are an anime fan, which if you aren't, you're probably not listening to this, so our anime podcast. But we'll move on from that to a story that actually just broke this afternoon, and definitely wanted to just share it out there because I know a lot of fans of her music around the world. The singer Otto has announced a worldwide tour 2025. It's powered by Crunchyroll, which explains some of the places they're going for sure. It's going to start off in Asia and Australia, and then go into Europe, and then on to North America, starting in Seattle. She's playing Seattle, San Jose, Los Angeles, Phoenix, Fort Worth, Duluth, Orlando, Baltimore, Chicago, Toronto, Newark, and Honolulu in the United States. A very ambitious touring schedule, and then finishing up in Latin America. But the thing that jumped out, I mean, obviously, Otto's had a lot of success. Of course, probably best known for the One Piece movie, Red, where she did pretty much all the music from that. Of course, did a theme for Spy Family as well.
Oh yeah.
Has real, and again, somebody who started off as one of these utaites, one of these people that are basically faceless that do cover songs online, and has grown into this huge star. And the thing that jumped out at me is she's playing big arenas in the United States. You got the Tacoma Dome, you've got the Crypto.com Arena in LA, you've got the Kia Center, you've got the United Center in Chicago. That's 20,000 seats there. So I don't know if that's the demand they're expecting, but that's if she goes in and even does decent crowds in all those buildings, this is going to be a pretty lucrative tour for her and probably for Crunchyroll too.
Yeah, I was surprised at that, and just the sheer amount of North American dates. You typically don't see that. You usually see your Chicagos, your New Yorks, LAs, maybe somewhere like Dallas, but then this is all over the place. And I mean, it kind of sucks for the Midwest if they're really ambitious and want to see this show going to Chicago or Baltimore. But still, that's definitely more coverage than I'm used to seeing.
As we always talk about, if you are a fan of this type of music, if you're a fan of Otto's, try to get to these concerts, because the best way to show the industry that, hey, we need more Japanese artists touring is to go support Japanese artists when they come to the United States. And this is a great opportunity to see one of the biggest acts in Japan, basically anywhere. Like you said, not so much in the Midwest, although Chicago certainly are pretty reasonable for most of the Midwest. But yeah, big venues should be a big event. Certainly, we'll keep an eye out on that and let you know how that tour ends up shaking down in 2025. Another story that really doesn't really have a lot of details right now, but I did just kind of want to mention it. Was news that the Gundam franchise is planning major works annually from 2025 through 2029. Of course, that'll mark the 50th anniversary of the franchise in 2029. This year marks the 45th anniversary. Some other things they've kind of been involved in already was the trilogy films of Mobile Suit Gundam Hathaway. The second film's supposed to come out sometime this year. I'm guessing at this point it's probably looking at next year. A VR production company, Atlas V's Mobile Suit Gundam Silver Phantom feature-length VR anime debuted on October the 3rd. And then Mobile Suit Gundam Requiem for Vengeance, which is on Netflix. That's something I guess that just came out that people seem to be really excited. I guess it's done really crazy views, but and again, no real details about what's coming. I know there's a lot of talk about another reboot of the original series or something like that potentially coming in 2029, but the Gundam franchise just kind of keeps chugging along, and there's so many series that you could be like, man, be cool if they would do like an updated reboot of that, but just kind of excited to see what's coming next.
Yeah, I would certainly love to see an 079 remake. I think I enjoyed it, but I think there's still a hurdle there for people when you look at something that old, especially when you had the Origin that came out a while back that looked so good, and still kind of like a lot of these remakes still kind of have that classic style to them. I was looking at the comments to the story, and a lot of skepticism over whether the Hollywood movie's ever actually going to happen. Hollywood's been pretty good at generating flops lately, so I don't know if they're going to be willing to throw the kind of money you would need to into a Gundam feature film with any hopes that it's going to make that kind of money back. It's it's not Star Wars. It's still it's popular, but it's nowhere near on that level.
No.
And also kind of that be careful what you wish for vibe in the comments, where it's like, do you really want sequels and remakes of current stuff just out of fear that they're not going to do it justice or just flat out ruin it? I think anime has been pretty good for the most part with some of their remakes and continuations, but I think we've seen enough go poorly that you can't just be blindly optimistic about what's going to happen.
I think if there's any industry where you do feel some optimism, it is the anime industry. Yeah. When you look at, the Urusei Yatsura reboot, the Ranma 1/2 reboot, even the Kenshin reboot, which, music maybe not as great and the dub is what it is, but overall it looks great.
Oh yeah, and it's really good.
Yeah, so and obviously they did the Kenshin live action movies, which I still need to watch, that were really well received. So again, you feel a little better, and you have to assume Tomino's not going to let somebody just crap all over his franchise. So you have to assume it's going to end up okay. But again, we'll see what they come up with. But I would love to see. And the thing about a live action Gundam is a show that doesn't have to be so Japanese. Like, it could be a full, a Hollywood production, and with the same story. You could make it work if you had to. You could
make it work. I think once you let Hollywood, I mean, we've seen so many anime, not necessarily, well, some anime, but also mainly video game adaptations that turned out awful because somebody thought they knew better than the person who made the original content. I think if you go into it with that mindset, you're going to create something that caters to nobody.
I just saw an article again this week where James Marsters apologized again for
that poor dude.
That dude clearly is a fan and just hates the fact that people just crapped all over that live action Dragon Ball.
It's got to suck because for that I'm sure there's a lot of overlap between like your anime fandom and any of your other nerdy things, Buffy the Vampire Slayer included. And that guy is so beloved by that side of the fan base. So to think that his initial involvement in Dragon Ball was this live action abortion, you just feel for the guy.
Yeah, I do. Because again, it's not anybody's fault that was in the movie. They were just doing what they were told.
I like the cast. I'll be honest.
That's why I watched it, because you just think there's too many good people in this to be bad. And that movie proved that is not the case. Like, you can actually hire all good actors and make a movie that bad. So yeah, I kind of feel bad for those guys. But, but yeah, we'll keep an eye on the Gundam news. Obviously, big Gundam fans definitely want to see what's going to be coming our way as we get farther down the line. This last one I threw in because every once in a while you just got to have a ridiculous story to end on. So I picked this one out because it jumped out at me. If you've not seen the anime Bo, it's pretty ridiculous. The dub of it is fantastic. It's just absurd. They have a stage play coming out in Japan for Bo. First off, I can't believe they're making a stage play of this. I don't know if you watch the videos.
A little bit of it,
Oh my gosh.
It's frightening, really.
It is. It's nightmare fuel. But at the same time, I also feel like because it's nightmare fuel that they've probably done a pretty good job adapting it, because it's just incredibly strange and creepy looking. But
I mean, the show has sold out. Like, all 13 shows have sold out, allegedly. So clearly people saw it and they're like, hey, we need to see a live stage adaptation of this.
It's just like looking at the still photos in addition. It's just so, I mean, they did a great job with costume design.
Yeah.
Like, there's no question. I'm amazed that of all the anime that this is the one that they decided to actually create a stage production of. But I'm curious to see if it doesn't end up as a movie now, because if the stage show sells out and people just want to see it, like, are they going to make a live action Japanese movie of this anime? Like,
why not? Why not?
Everybody should, if you can find it, which I think there's a company out there that released the dubbed version, at least, of the original. It's worth watching. It's just dumb fun. Like it's largely inoffensive. It's just almost non sequitur type humor that's just, it literally goes in every different direction. And the moment you get settled into, you think, well, you know where they're going, they go completely opposite direction. Chris hoping for a JoJo's play. I'm honestly shocked that hasn't happened.
That has to exist already, right?
I have to assume so. Like, that makes almost too much sense, especially as long as JoJo's has been around. It'd be stunning that they haven't created a stage show for that.
I feel like just that show in general would lend itself to stage acting so well.
Yeah.
It's just so kind of bombastic. That has to exist.
I would think so. Over the top, like,
yeah,
that seems too logical to not be a thing. But it's like I said, sometimes you see these stories come across, and that one I just chuckled. Like, okay, we're going to talk about this because that show has the weirdest looking characters to begin with, and now they've made them into real people.
And premise, I mean, the guy's using his nose hair in battle. Like,
there's so much of it I don't remember.
Yeah,
but the dub was, like I said, the dub was great. It's definitely one to find if you just want a dumb laugh. You can't go wrong. Chris suggesting a Shinchan play, like, that wouldn't surprise me either if it didn't exist, because that show's been around forever.
No kidding.
Like, and continues to chug along. But also another
the dub of the episodes that they brought over initially here, still one of the best dubs ever.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it was so good and so funny, and it was a show that I was not 100% sure they could adapt for this market and make it make sense. And somehow they did. And obviously they took some liberties.
Yeah.
Which you have to do because the show's very Japanese. But yeah, they did an amazing job of that. I don't know if that's even available anywhere anymore or if it's streaming on Crunchyroll.
That's a good question.
If it is, you need to find it.
I do have Crunchyroll up, so let's see.
There you go. I'll let you look that up while I talk about our website, nerdcastempire.com. You can listen to our previous episodes there. You can check out our store. All the great stuff you can find on nerdcastempire.com. We're on social media, of course. We post stuff. We've been posting reels from our music show Mike's been putting together, so check those out. We're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on X, we're on Blue Sky. Everywhere that I can think to throw this stuff, I'm basically throwing it there, so catch it wherever you are. Coming up on Sunday, I believe we're going to be going at about 6 or 6:30 on Sunday. We'll have Music Weekly. It'll be the music of October the 11th. Really good stuff this week.
Strong week. Looking
forward to bringing you some great music and even a local band that we're going to talk about on Sunday as well. So either these 6 or 6:30, I'll let you know for sure on social media, but that'll be coming up Sunday. And then next Thursday, Halloween, we will be back with another episode of Anime Thursday, I should say, next Thursday night. And we'll probably have more OhioCon news by then, if I had to guess. Not sure what else we'll do. We'll figure out what we're going to do between now and then. Coming up next Thursday on the Nerdcast Empire. Did you have an answer?
I did not find it on Crunchyroll, sadly.
Okay. So hopefully it's out there somewhere because everybody should definitely check that out. So
yeah,
that concludes our news section. And again, if you are watching on the YouTube VOD, if you are watching on or listening on our podcast network, we're going to jump ahead to the end of the podcast here very shortly because YouTube does not like anime music generally. So you're going to want to check us out on the VOD on Twitch, and hopefully most of it makes it through unmuted. But again, that's always up for debate. So again, always, if you can, join us live. That's the one place you're guaranteed to hear our music. So if you're on those other sources, we'll be jumping to the end here in a moment. And as we return the rest of our audience to the podcast, it's time to say goodbye for another episode of Anime Thursdays. Great to have you along with us once again. Great stuff again this week. Great music again. Check us out, twitch.tv/Nerdcast Empire if you want to catch some music from this week's episode. A lot of great stuff. And of course, we'll have more again next month when we come around to another edition of this. A reminder, upcoming schedule, either 6 or 6:30 Eastern on Sunday for our Music Weekly. October the 11th is the date. We've got a really good selection of music this week. We're really excited to bring it to you. So join us on Sunday. And then next week, a Halloween edition of Anime Thursdays. Maybe we can talk about some of our favorite Halloween or haunted or scary series of all time. I know you've been into watching some of them lately, so we'll talk about that coming up next week on the Nerdcast Empire. Big thanks to Stove Lake Media for their continued support of the podcast. Thanks to Chris for joining us in the chat. Thanks to everybody else who's joined us, whether it's live or on the VOD. We'll be back with you again Sunday night, 6:30 Eastern Time for another episode of Music Weekly. And until then, for Mike, the rest of the group, I am Matt Sexton saying so long. And don't forget to join the Empire, the Nerdcast Empire.